Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team?
Yes.
Okay. You would let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing team?
Yeah,
you
of
are
course
a
you have to be
complete
like the
and utter
heavyweight.
lunatic.
If you thought you'd seen the craziest side of woke culture, think again. One man has taken the absurdity to new levels. Piers Morgan. He's built a career on saying what everyone else is too afraid to even whisper. In this video, you'll watch Piers tear into woke culture, leaving no topic untouched. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild and hilarious ride. Let's start with a classic example of woke logic. Lift women up by tearing men down. Piers doesn't hesitate to point out the irony here, using Emma as an example, a public figure who claims she doesn't need men. Yet, behind the scenes, men run almost every aspect of her career. Her manager, her coaches, the executives on her sponsor's board, they're all men. It's a funny but sharp reminder that empowering women doesn't mean pretending men don't exist. It's like playing a strange game of hide and seek where the men are always there, but we act like they're invisible.
Of course, as we all know, the best way to improve the aspirations of women is by trashing men. And as Emma says, women don't need men at all. She certainly never needed any men, as far as we know, to get where she is today, except, well, a father, of course, who manages her career and, well, fathered her. And then there are her 5 coaches, who so far have all been male. Or Max Eisenbud, her agent, who apparently is very, very good at maximizing her earning potential, despite being a man. And then a final twist of this dastardly tale of virtue signaling treachery. It turns out the chairman, chief executive, and chief financial officer on HSBC's board of directors are all men too.
Next, Piers dives into the bizarre world of gender-neutral language. Apparently, it's no longer pregnant women, but pregnant people. Piers doesn't hold back, questioning why a tiny minority of people are allowed to change the way everyone else speaks. Women get pregnant, not men, he says with his trademark sarcasm. He calls out how this obsession with inclusivity is actually erasing reality.
But only used the word woman once. Piers Morgan, what say you? And that says it all.
But we have 10 more
Where do
minutes
you
to
even
go.
start? I mean, look, I would love to get pregnant. You know why? Pregnant women are the most popular people
young.
in the world. Everyone loves people who are pregnant. They're nice to you. I would be
my
really
gosh,
popular,
Cameron.
right? But I would love to know, Washington Post, how do I get pregnant? Because last time I checked, women get pregnant, not men. So when you say pregnant people, it doesn't include the billions of men. We can't get pregnant. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the eradication of any gender-specific language. It's tailoring to a tiny minority of people, and the vast majority of people would like to carry on being called by what they identify as. You ladies here, I presume, if you don't mind me calling you ladies, I presume you all identify as women. So if you were pregnant, you're a pregnant woman. You're not a pregnant person. And why should you be? It's so insulting, it's so insensitive, and it just flies again to my central point. Why are we letting this tiny group of people dictate how everybody else has to speak? When did our language get destroyed at the altar of woke political correctness? And who is going to stop it? I've got a clue for you. I've got a new show coming on Fox Station called Piers Morgan Uncensored, and I am going to lead the charge to save our language, to let pregnant people go back to being called women. That's it.
It's not progressive if you're denying basic biology, and it only gets more ridiculous. Piers throws out a hypothetical scenario. What if Lionel Messi or Usain Bolt decided they identified as women? Should they be allowed to compete in women's sports? According to woke ideology, the answer would be yes. Piers uses this comical idea to illustrate the chaos that would ensue. Messi dominating women's soccer, Bolt crushing women's track records. Piers can't help but laugh at how this twisted logic could destroy women's sports in the name of equality.
Lionel Messi puts his hand up and says, actually, I'm feeling like a woman today. Do you play him in the American women's national team, Francesca? Yes or no?
Lionel Messi
Layla
had
Messi.
to undergo an incredible,
Yes or no?
he had to undergo an incredible amount of treatment when he was young. He had a bunch of like.
Would you allow him to
all kinds
put
of
his hand up,
medicine and
say he's a
everything in order
woman,
for
and
him
play
to
in the
actually
American
grow,
women's
'cause he had
national
a
team?
growth spurt. I'm a big Messi fan, so. But let me just
Well,
explain this.
answer
to
my
you.
question. Would you allow him, if he said, I'm a woman, to play in the American
You're
women's
using
national
the
team?
wrong pronoun
Yes,
there.
yes, yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Messi on the U.S. women's national team Hell yeah.
Would you
because
allow
that would
Usain
mean-
Bolt to do that and be in the sprinting
Yes,
team?
because that would mean they're a trans woman. They identify as women.
I get it.
You would have to
So just to be clear,
transition.
you'd let Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team and destroy
Hell yeah,
women's football
welcome.
forever. You'd let Usain
it'd be
Bolt.
very difficult
Hang on.
to get a ticket,
hang on.
which would suck.
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team.
Yes.
Okay. You would
Yes.
let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing
Yeah.
team.
Yeah,
you
of
are
course
a
you have to be,
complete
like, the
and utter
heavyweight, you know.
lunatic.
Then, the real jaw-dropper. Piers brings up a shocking real-life case of a male rapist who identified as a woman to be transferred to a female prison, where he then attacked vulnerable inmates. This isn't just a one-off case. Piers highlights how 42% of trans-identifying inmates are in prison for sex crimes. He exposes the dangerous consequences of blindly following woke ideology, showing how it can backfire in horrifying ways.
I don't know why there is such an issue around.
We've literally just seen a male rapist use that scam to get himself put into a female prison where he could attack vulnerable women inside a female prison, when even his ex-wife said it was all a scam.
Which is a terrible, very distressing, isolated incident, and I think it's easy to take that and say that means that no one can identify as a woman, and
But
that's
it's not an
that's
isolated
fair.
incident, though.
But it's
42% of trans-identifying prisoners in prison are in there for sex crimes. There's actually an advantage, evidently, to identifying as a female, because they never identify as male, because somehow male prisons seem less appealing to them. It's really weird. Anyway, but
Is it
happening right now.
limitless, this self-identity?
It's not totally limitless.
What's the
but
limit?
when you're talking about International Women's Day, I don't know why we take the conversation around International Women's Day and make it about this.
But if
because
anyone,
there's so many benefits.
right? But if
to having
anyone,
a day.
according to you, can identify as a woman, anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
Just
someone
literally put their hand up and say, "I'm a woman."
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into
Actually,
the
it's
world.
incredibly
It's very easy.
Incredibly easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say
What
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
whatever that person decides, but to
Does
go
it
out
involve
into the
makeup?
world and say I don't identify as perhaps the sex I
So
was
why
born
can't
as.
I
It's not-
identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is,
I
why
think-
can't I on International Women's Day say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd
No.
status,
I think
we're
that's
talking
what.
about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So
Throughout the video, Piers Morgan shreds woke culture's contradictions, exposing how the movement often collapses under its own weight. Whether it's the irony of gender-neutral language, the absurdity of men and women's sports, or the dangerous loopholes in self-identification, Piers uses his wit and fearless approach to tackle the issues head-on. Prepare for laughs, uncomfortable truths, and a whole lot of common sense as Piers dismantles woke culture one ridiculous idea at a time. Ready for the ride? This is just the beginning. The conversation surrounding self-identity has evolved dramatically in recent years, especially when it intersects with movements like International Women's Day. However, there are limits to this seemingly boundless concept of self-identity, and we often find ourselves wondering, if anyone can identify as anything, where do we draw the line? Take, for instance, the celebration of International Women's Day. A day meant to honor and uplift women worldwide sometimes spirals into debates about who exactly can be considered a woman. If, as some claim, anyone can simply raise their hand and declare themselves a woman, does that diminish the experiences and struggles of those who have lived as women their entire lives? It may sound simple, but it's far from an easy decision for someone to step out into the world and claim an identity that society may not readily accept. But what if this logic was stretched even further? If anyone can identify as anything without proof, why stop at gender? Could I, for instance, identify as a black lesbian, as Piers Morgan controversially suggested? While some may laugh at the absurdity, the question highlights a deeper issue. If there are no boundaries to self-identification, we may risk trivializing identities that carry significant cultural, social, and historical weight.
can you imagine going to Ukraine right now and saying to those people, do you feel disrespected, invalidated, dismissed, triggered, alienated, or all of those things by the wrong pronoun?
Why
Do you think we've lost our perspective on reality of what it feels like to actually be oppressed? It's not about being called the wrong pronoun. It's about being bombed by Russian barbarians. That is oppression. This is nonsense.
Meanwhile, in places like Ukraine, people are fighting for survival in a war zone. Imagine walking through a bomb-ravaged city and asking the victims if they feel disrespected or triggered by being addressed with the wrong pronoun. Such a question would feel tone-deaf in the face of their daily battle to stay alive. This contrast between Western debates on identity and the harrowing realities in war-torn regions serves as a stark reminder that while words do matter, we must also maintain perspective. This need for perspective extends beyond gender debates. Consider the controversy over body image and obesity. When Cosmopolitan celebrates individuals who are morbidly obese on their cover, it raises the question, are we celebrating an unhealthy lifestyle in the name of body positivity? Piers Morgan, in one of his famous exchanges, pointed out that while he himself may not be the picture of perfect health at 6'1" and 220 pounds, glorifying a 380 lb body type as healthy is undeniably problematic.
She's on the cover of Cosmo and it's all celebrated. There's no mention of it being a dangerous weight.
Honestly, if you were really concerned about people being obese and representing something bad, you would take yourself off the air because you're not exactly slim yourself.
Well,
right?
okay, I'm 220 pounds and I'm 6'1", right? You're 5'4" and you're 380 pounds. So there is a difference. I'm not morbidly obese.
Right, but you're still
I'm
fat
actually reasonably healthy.
You're still fat
I'm reasonably fit. Well, you might think I'm fat. Most viewers are looking at this and think they're not seeing me as morbidly obese, right? So you're perfectly entitled to throw the jibes back at me.
But you're still fat. You being less
I'm not in
fat
Miley
than
Cyrus's
me
pop
doesn't
video.
make, you know.
I'm not in a pop video, am I? Extolling
But you're
the
on
virtues of my body.
TV. You're on TV. You're on TV every day.
So you think that me
You're on
sitting
TV
here
every
now...
day. You're going to tell me that...
You think, just to clarify, there is a comparison between me sitting here now, 6'1", 220 pounds, I am reflecting and celebrating a clinically dangerous level of weight, you think?
I think that if you were really concerned about glorifying obesity, you would take yourself off the air.
But I'm not obese. It's just a statistical medical fact.
You're fat, though.
The woman challenging Morgan's perspective attempted to body shame him, but the irony wasn't lost on viewers. At 5'4" and 380 lbs, she embodied the very health risks being debated. It became a pot calling the kettle black moment, with Morgan responding in classic fashion, pointing out the dangers of normalizing clinical obesity. It's not about shaming people for their size, but about being honest about the health risks associated with extreme obesity. The clash between vegans and meat eaters is another area where boundaries and respect come into play. Imagine walking into a vegan restaurant, grabbing someone's plant-based meal, and throwing it on the floor because you disagree with their dietary choices. It sounds absurd, right? Yet militant vegans sometimes do the equivalent when they disrupt meat eaters or restaurants that serve animal products. Morgan's humorous take on this, threatening to storm vegan establishments and demand steak, underscores a larger point. We must respect each other's choices, whether it's about food, identity, or lifestyle. Live and let live.
I'm going to start running into vegan restaurants.
That's fine. Go for
just
it. That's your
shouting and
right,
being annoying
that's your right to protest,
and grabbing
Piers.
tables and so you can't eat your gruel. And just see how you lot like it. I'm going to go to your house and chop paint all over it.
Piers, you've got a right to protest. Oof, you've got me another one.
Take it off your bingo.
Fantastic.
Take it off your bingo, son.
But where's the salt? Where's it?
Won't need any of this gruel. Let's put that
Fantastic.
to one side, but I will have a bit of steak just to...
You didn't salt it, though.
You see, all you've achieved is you've made me want to do this. Just eat a lovely...
That's absolutely fine. You go for it.
Do you know how many steaks he's had from my restaurant?
Yeah, a lot.
In a world where the boundaries of identity, rights, and social norms are constantly shifting, it's easy to lose perspective. While it's crucial to respect diversity and individual choices, we must also ensure that these discussions don't stray so far from reality that they endanger basic principles like safety, health, or mutual respect. Whether it's debates over pronouns, body image, or the ever-present clash between vegans and meat eaters, we need a balanced approach that values both freedom and responsibility. At the end of the day, everyone has the right to express their opinions and live their truths. But we must also remember that unchecked freedom can lead to situations where the absurd overshadows the sensible. Keeping perspective, respect, and empathy front and center is more important than ever. So, do you agree with Piers Morgan, or do you think he's just stirring the pot? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below, share your perspective, and don't forget to subscribe for more uncensored debates. Until next time.